Got $5 and want to play some Magic the Gathering? Well, if I got some ideas for you. This is $5 Deck Tech! That's right, $5 Deck Tech, ladies and gentlemen. And, we have an interesting one today. As I almost forget my list, we have a very interesting deck tech here. This is Budget Rats. If you don't know, the micro budget is $5 and under. That is a 60-card main board and a 15-card sideboard. So you can go to your Friday Night Magic event, your standard event, wherever, and only spend less than a $5 bill to get a deck that is focused, tuned, not going to win you a Pro Tour, but you're going to have fun and you're going to learn the concepts if you're getting back into standard. And you'll actually have a deck that knows what it's doing. It's not like I'm piling 75 cards together and saying, hey, here's a deck. No, I'm actually thinking about these things. And as of March 9th, 2023, these prices are as accurate as they are to TCGplayer.com. Before we begin, this will probably be the last time I use TCG Player pricing until they figure out their bullshit that's going on with them right now. It's probably going to wind up being Card Kingdom and Star City Games, which is going to, unfortunately, screw with the budgets here. $5 micro budget. Now, I'm not just going through the first listing here. It's so easy to make this deck for $2 by going to the first few. So instead, I'm going pages deep on each listing and getting a roundabout average, if you will. A true average for the first 5 to 7, even sometimes 8 pages deep. And then I will find, like, a card that's like 10 cents that has like 2,000 copies of it by one store. And I have to make sure that store is valid as well. It's not like just somebody randomly saying that. So, I do my research on these decks as much as I can. That being said, Budget Micro Rats deck, the reason why is Karumonix, the Rat King, is actually pretty good. But we are going to go through the deck right now. So first up, we have Gnawing Vermin for 1 black for a creature rat. Get used to that creature type, by the way. For a 1/1, when it enters the battlefield, target player mills 2 cards. When Gnawing Vermin dies, target creature you don't control gets -1/-1 till the end of turn. We need rats, and there's not that many that are actually halfway decent in our price range. So we have to take what we can get. And Gnawing Vermin actually is a 10-cent card right now. So it's the mill and the -1/-1 that gives it a little extra oomph than a normal 1/1. We're now playing... this is an old list. We are now playing 4 copies of Okiba Reckoner Raid for 1 for an Enchantment Saga. When it enters the battlefield after your draw step, add a lore counter. When it comes into the field, each opponent loses a life, you gain 1 life. And then its third, exile it, return to the battlefield, transform, flipped under your control, and it is a 2/2 menace. Vehicles you control have Menaces. We're not worrying about that. It's a rat rogue. Remember, get used to that creature type. Okiba Reckoner Raid, though, is a 5-cent card. We're now playing 4 of them because it's 20 cents. 2-drop slot, we start with Blightbelly Rat for 1 and a black for a creature Phyrexian rat. Toxic 1, when Blightbelly Rat dies, proliferate. If you don't know what the proliferate is, choose any number of target permanents and/or players, then give each one of those a counter of each kind they already have. So if Toxic 1, we're doing some toxic things as well in this deck, and if they have poison counters, you get them an extra 1 when this dies. Blightbelly Rat is a 10-cent card as well. Nezumi Prowler, 1 and a black for an artifact creature, say it with me now, Rat Ninja, with a 3/1 with ninjutsu 1 in black. Basically, if you have another creature on the board that is unblocked during combat and it's going to get damage through, they didn't declare a blocker for it, you can ninjutsu the Prowler in for 2 for 1 and a black. But when it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains death touch and lifelink until end of turn. It's a 3/1, it's not bad. Nezumi Prowler is a 25-cent card. It's actually one of the really good cards in this deck. Then we are playing 3 copies of Karumonix, the Rat King. 1 black. Obviously, we're mono black here for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Rat. That's right, it's another rat. With Toxic 1. Other rats you control have Toxic 1. When Karumonix enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of rat cards from among them. put the revealed cards in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You can basically get all the rats that you get from the top 5 cards of your library, put them in your hand. And Karumonix does a really good job at that. For a 3/3 Phyrexian Rat, and Karumonix is the most expensive card in the deck, 45 cents a piece, and we are playing 3 of them. Yeah, we have to. You can't go any lower than 2, especially the prices of the Karumonixes are oddly fluctuating. At first, when I thought of this deck, it was like $1.50, and then it came out, and it was part of the bundle, but it was only that one art, and then that dropped to like 25 cents, and then this one went down to 25 cents, and then it went back up to $1, and now it's at 45 cents, where I think it's going to stay. It's on average 45 cents. Then we are finally playing 4 copies of Mukotai Ambusher for 3 and a black for an artifact creature, Rat Ninja. That's right, it's a Rat Ninja with ninjutsu once again, 1 in a black for a 3/2 lifelinking creature. That is the creatures that we are playing. And also, Ambusher is another 10-cent card. This is where the budget starts showing a little bit here. We have to play Disfigure. Disfigure target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. But the Disfigure that I found that was the least expensive at 5 cents, pretty average, was the Double Masters version. The Phyrexia will be 1 version's averaging like 8 cents right now. You could get either or with the budget considering how much this deck costs. But I'm saying it's one of those times where if you specifically look for the Double Masters card, you'll be good. Then we play 4 copies of Duress. Once again, 5 cents on average. You got to get it from the Dominaria Remastered Duress, because that's the one that's like flooding the market at the moment. 1 black, a sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from that. That player discards that card. 5 cents on average for those. You'll get them cheaper or maybe a little bit more expensive, but on average, 5 cents. Disfigure is a 5-cent card. Duress is a 5-cent card. Parasitic Grasp for 1 and a black for an instant with Cleave 1 black. Cleave, you may cast a spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in the square brackets. If you cast it for 2, Parasitic Grasp deals 3 damage to target human creature. You gain 3 life. If you do the cleave cost, which is easy because we're mono black, deal 3 damage to target creature. You gain 3 life. We have to go around about weird ways to get decent removal with the budget, because Parasitic Grasp is a 10-cent card. Noticing a theme here? This is where we save a lot of money here with Defenestrate. 2 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature without flying. This is a penny. You can find it, and we're playing 4 of them for a penny for a Defenestrate. Because of how crazy the budget is, you may say, yeah, there's a little bit more room to play with. Not really. I'm not trying to max out the $5 here. We're playing 24 swamps in the main. Now we're going to kick it over to the sideboard, where we play 3 copies of Tribute to Urborg, which is 1 and a black for an instant with kicker 1 and a blue. We don't mind. We're never going to use the kicker. We're mono black. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. That's all I really have to read because the rest of it doesn't apply to us. If it was kicked, that creature gets an additional -1/-1 until end of turn for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. It's decent removal. Sometimes we're going to have to deal with creatures that are more powerful than the Parasitic Grasp or the Disfigures, and we might have to combo in, or they might have a ton of creatures. They might flood the board with 1/1 tokens. We just constantly need to deal with them. We play, and Tribute to Urborg is a 2-cent card, and we're playing 3 of them. We're playing a whole play set, which is 4 cards, 4 copies of Extinguish the Light for 2 black for an instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. If its mana value is 3 or less, you gain 3 life. This is targeted basically at planeswalkers and 4 and 5 drop big creatures like Mondrax, like Shiradids, the Praetors. We have no really decent way to get rid of them in the main, and in the side, Extinguish the Light is actually one good card for budget decks. Thank God it is still a 2-cent card because we get to play a whole play set of them. Then we are playing 4 copies, a whole play set again of Incriminate for 1 and a black for a sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by the same player. That player sacrifices one of them. We have to go roundabout weird ways to get decent removal with these super micro budget decks. And remember, if you try to play an Incriminate, you need 2 creatures on your opponent's board. You can't cast it with 1. It just it needs 2 creatures on their side. So make sure they have 2 creatures before you try to cast this on paper, because it's technically an illegal play if you do. We are playing 4 copies of those, and they, once again, 2 cents a piece. 2 copies in the side of Parasitic Grasp. I was debating about, should I put a different card in here, or should I just go for more Parasitic Grasp? Parasitic Grasp won out in the end in the sideboard because of you're going up against a mono red deck. Simply put, we need mono red decks, burn decks, hate lifelink, hate gaining life. That's why Ambusher is really good in this deck, and Prowler can do a couple of cheeky things with a mono red deck. But if you kill their creature with a Parasitic Grasp, not only have you eliminated something, but you gained sometimes the life that they just took away from you. And it could be a really crushing blow to a mono red deck. And then, once again, Parasitic Grasp is a 10-cent card. And finally, 2 copies of Gruesome Realization for 1 black. So for a sorcery, choose 1. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. In this deck, we're not using it for that. We are instead using it for its second option. Creatures your opponent controls get -1/-1 until end of turn. This is for the other toxic decks out there. The 1/1 toxic decks, the ones that make mites, the ones that make tokens and flood the board with a bunch of 1/1s. This card trounces them in a nice way for our budget, because it is a 5-cent card. We're playing 2 of them, and it's a 10-cent. It's 10 cents for both, in total for both. So that is the deck with the sideboard here, folks. This is mono black rats in standard micro budget, and it is a $4.66 deck. Using 3 rares, 13 uncommons, and 35 commons. If you want to play this deck on Magic the Gathering Online, and I can't even believe how inexpensive it told me it was, 67 cents. Now, at first I was like, that's 75 cards. I mean, not really. We minus the 24 lands, and it's closer to 50, but 67 cents on Magic the Gathering Online, the OG version of this game. 67 cents for a very competent deck. It is the cheapest online deck that for Magic the Gathering Online that we have done so far. So that being said, folks, mono black rats, and we're about to get into a little bit of gameplay here, just to show you how this deck operates on a best of 3. Remember, we're doing this in paper. We're doing this in a local game store. We're doing this on your Friday night Magic. And yeah, 60 card deck with a 75 card sideboard for $4.67. I'll see you at the gameplay. Now, at first, that's a pretty bad keep. But hear me out. And don't do this. Don't keep a 5-lander. Karumonix looks at the top 5 cards of our library. We can filter through our rats, and almost every creature we play is a rat. Mono red. Uh-oh. Alright, cool. We got mono red and Okiba Reckoner Raid, and we get Parasitic Grasp, whatever they bring out. Bye-bye, Reckoner Raid. No, Bloodthirst Adversary. Alright, well. That's a human? Alright, that being said, we're gonna have the Gnawing Vermin here. And we'll make a mill the top 2. Oh, what 2 great hits on that mill. 2 Monastery Swift Spears. They big mad right now. They gotta be big mad right now. So that, alright, we will block the Kuromo. We're gonna take 5. Oh, oops, I blocked it wrong. Never mind. We're still good, though. Because we can Parasitic Grasp the bloodthirsty adversary. I should have blocked the Feldon. And they would have been down to an Etchings of Kumao. Misplay. That's fine. Now. And the worst part is they've been doing this on 2 land. We get a 1-drop. It's a Blightbelly. Didn't want the Blightbelly Rat. Because our Rat King's gonna die. Because we have to block it with the Feldon. If it gets through. Cemetery Gatekeeper. Okay. You got the Foundry. Which is colorless. Alright. You risked it for the biscuit. Yeah, I gotta start going on the offensive here. Because every time we cast a creature now, because of Gatekeeper, we're gonna lose 2 life. But so will they. Bloodthirsty Adversary. Do they think that this is the win? I mean, it's a lot of damage. Yeah, we just drew too many lands at that point. Once again, don't keep a 5-lander. Oh, okay, I was about to say. Alright, so 2 Parasitic Grasps are coming in. A Defenestrate can come out, and another... We could just take out the Defenestrates and put in 2 tributes to Urborg. Heck, we could probably even take out a swamp. We could take out 2 swamps. Put in that. And then kick us off with a Gruesome Realization. Go down to 22 swamps. Which you can kind of do, especially like in the... I just discovered that in sideboarding. I'm like, I can take 2 swamps out. Because we're going so low to the ground. That's a little bit better. Not by much, but we have plenty of hate here. We're going to Duress turn 1, hopefully kick a land, get a Blightbelly Rat, and then we can just, you know, kill whatever they bring out. And I know 24 swamps is a little rough on the main, but there's a lot of things that you gotta pay for in this deck. And there we go, Blightbelly Rat. We got the land, so that means we've never been punished. So they're turn 2 Adversary. Or Devastator. Bloodthirsty Adversary. And we're gonna Ninjutsu this in because they're a mono red deck. And gaining that life is just so devastating to a mono red deck. Put them in a very interesting spot here. Shivan Devastator. I think we're gonna Blightbelly and end a turn and keep up our Disfigure. They do have a Mishra's Foundry. But now what are they doing? Double Devastator. See which one, if they block the Blightbelly or the Ambusher. We're going to Ninjutsu in the lifelink, trade off, gain 6, and then Blightbelly Rat. They're down to 2 cards now in hand. We are in a decent position. We've gained so... Yeah, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to a mono red deck. Gaining life is brutal for them. And that's why I wanted the life linkers in there more than the Blightbelly. If you gain just a little bit of life, you increase your chances exponentially. Reckoner Raid, Vermin, I'm happy with this. Because we first Duress. Strike or Brotherhood end? Let's get rid of the Brotherhood's end. Gatekeeper. Is it a human? No, it's a vamp, that's right. I'm okay with Reckoner Raid and Vermin. Because we have instance. And Duress has done its work. We're not playing any other sorceries. Because next turn we can grasp the Gatekeeper, depending on what they bring in. They could strike the Vermin, but we immediately kill their Gatekeeper. I learned my lesson from the first game. Alright. Each opponent loses 1, we gain 1. I think we just swing in with the Vermin. Alright, we got it locked. Basically, that tells me on their playfield, they would have gotten rid of the Vermin, but Reckoner Raid is a little bit impossible, so their other 2 cards probably were lands, and Miser's Factory was not getting there. But we got a win in a best of 3 against a mono red burn deck, and all we did was make sure that we put Parasitic Grasps in. The other 2 dropped a couple lands. Micro budget standard rats, folks. It got there. It got there fantastically. The options that I discovered, dropping 2 swamps to add a couple more cards into the sideboards and like Tribute to Urborgs and Parasitic Grasps, and even a Gruesome Realization, because a lot of their creatures were 1/1s, makes a difference. But when it comes to the original 60, 34 cents left in the budget, I could probably add in another card or 2 to replace with a swamp. But that's the beauty of these decks. You can decide if you want to do that, ladies and gentlemen. My name's been Dom Douglas. This has been another micro budget brew for standard, and may your top deck always be mythic.